Most people do not understand how to prompt AI, and this is not going to be a generic video about, oh, like here's this little prompt that'll do this or whatever. This is how to actually think about using these LLMs to get insane amounts of work done, get insane output, and really 100x the ability that you have to interact with and communicate with AI. So whether you're using GPT, Claude, Meta, or Llama, Grok, I don't know what logo this is. Is this Gemini or DeepSeek? It doesn't matter what you're using. I'm going to show you how to use it the right way. So most people are using AI completely wrong, guys. They get bad results. They blame AI. And I've spent the last year and probably 90% of every waking hour in 2025 using and communicating with AI. So we've gotten really good at this. And I want to show you the differences between what you can get if you do things right. So here's the wrong way. I love using VSLs as an example because it's a pretty complex thing. So the wrong way is getting an output like this. Like this is literally, like this is not a paragraph. This is a sentence, okay? It's because I'm asking it to do something for me the wrong way versus if I do it the right way with the correct organization, the correct context, I get entire paragraphs. I get entire pages of really, really good direct response text. Now, what's the difference between a quality output like that and this? Well, it's simply the prompt and how you do it. So let's break this down and let's dive into this. So hack number one is what we call the role assignment trick. So instead of you saying, hey, please give me a marketing strategy or please write me an email, you assign a role and a persona to AI, and it actually works. So I would, if I were writing a direct response or VSL or something, I would say, hey, you are Dan Kennedy, you are David Ogilvy, you are Jason Fladlian. Or if I want to do code, you're a software engineer with 15 years of experience building scalable web applications. Or you're a financial advisor who helps specialize in entrepreneurs optimizing their tax strategy. The more specific, the better. And so this completely turns AI into basically an expert in whatever you're telling it that it is. So instead of giving a marketing strategy, it's you're a marketing strategist who has scaled 50 businesses, okay? That actually works. I know it sounds crazy. Like one hack and one example for you, Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google, I saw him say in the All in Miami podcast, threatening AI with violence or that something bad will happen most of the time leads to a better quality output and less errors than not threatening it. Why does that work? I don't know. Does AI have emotions and feelings? Hopefully not, but little things like this actually matter. So number two are context profiles. Now these have been popularized on Twitter in the last 6 months. All this is, who cares what you call it? You can call it whatever you want, but all this is formatting prompts into this easy to read, I call it robot language. It's JSON. So instead of me saying like, oh, this is Yanni, he's 29 years old, he's this, he's that, we would say demographic, name, age range, gender ratio, average income, lifestyle, countries, etc. That way you get really detailed. And so why are we doing this? Well, the point of doing this is it really helps AI to absorb and to contextualize and to format all of the information we give it rather than it skipping and kind of like picking and choosing pieces, okay? So, for example, if we're building a context profile in this sense, I would say the business is what you do, your industry, your unique position. And this business would be in a bracket like this, in quotations. Audience, goal, constraints, right? So if you asked it to write a VSL for like X, an ICP, which is like ideal client profile, it doesn't know that the pain points, the fears, the dreams, it doesn't know these things. It just guesses and then goes and looks online and then tries to fill it in. That's when you get not great results. Whereas if we give it exactly what we want it to do and who we're writing for or what we're trying to make, it will output a better result. So instead of just saying, hey, write a VSL for crypto, we would say, write a VSL. Here's the instructions for the VSL of how I want it to be. Make sure that you are acting like you're Dan Kennedy or Jason Fladlian or whoever you want, the GOAT of copywriting. And here is a 42 question context profile on my ICP. Now write the VSL. And it's going to be a 10 times better output. I did a video on this, by the way, specifically for VSLs. If you want to go watch this, this is the thumbnail. This is here on the channel. So hack number 3, one shot and few shot prompting. Okay. So one shot means giving the AI one example of how you want the output to be. So few shot means giving AI 2 or more examples of how you want the output to be. And the reason this works so well is because AI learns by pattern recognition. So it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. So when we show it examples of quality work, it can replicate that and kind of understands that that's the output we want. So if this is the end goal, it will loop its way backwards to achieve that end goal from the start of your initial prompt. So example, or here's how to use it before we get ahead of ourselves. Find 2 or 3 examples of the content you want, for example, or the code or the visuals or whatever. Include them in your prompt with the instructions. Here's the examples of. So I do this every single day. When I write a VSL or I write code, or like today I built an entire app on Lovable. I took a screenshot of school, the dashboard of school. I fed it to Lovable. So there's an image context. And then I said in the prompt, very specifically, please create a community forum just like this and make the UI look just like school with all the full functionality that it has. And it one-shotted it, boom, done. I just built my own school. Okay, pretty insane. But you have to do it that way. And so that is basically giving AI more examples. If you're going to give it a visual, give it a visual. If you can say, hey, here's 3 emails that got 5% plus click-through rates, write 10 more following the same patterns. This is a lot better than, again, just write me an email. Hack number 4. This is called the chain of thought method. So chain of thought is a prompting technique that forces AI to break down complex problems into logical steps before arriving at the final answer. So instead of jumping like straight to conclusions, it thinks through the process systematically. Now, this is why we use sort of this JSON context profile formatting, but doing it in chain of thought also helps. For example, if we say, what's the best marketing strategy for my business? Again, generic, lazy output. But the right way would be, hey, AI, I want you to think through this step by step, and then let's use one of these. Let's say you're a business analyst, okay? You're a business analyst. Let's think through this step by step. First, analyze my target market and their key pain points. Then identify the most effective channels to reach them. Next, determine this. Finally, do this. Then it's going to work through those step by step. And what this does is I want you guys to think of I'm just going to use my hands. I don't know how to explain this. We say do this. It goes and researches and finds information on the internet and piles more stuff into that first step. Then the second step says, now identify the effective channels to reach them. What is them? Well, it's whatever was in that first step. So now step 1 has data and context. So step 2 is good. Then step 3 is going to feed off of those. And so this is where you get a chain of thought, kind of like a spider web or a trickle down pyramid of actual prompting. And this really, really, really leads to better outputs. And so a really advanced example for you guys. I need to increase sales for my consulting business. Let's approach this systematically. First do this, then do this, next do this, finally do this. So it's going to follow these steps in the order you give them. And if you structure this properly, which is kind of just common sense, it will piggyback and chain off of each previous step, leading to a much better output overall than if you were to just give it a simple lazy prompt. Hack number 5. This is you just call this iteration. So this is the process of taking AI's first response and systematically improving it. I do this every single time I get a prompt. So for example, I was working on the Kendo AI like sales prompts the other day. And so I would take a prompt that I already had, I feed it to GPT and said, hey, this prompt is to do this. I want this outcome. I'm having these problems. Please analyze and tell me why these problems are happening. It tells me why. I say, okay, make those changes. Now I have a new prompt that has been changed. Then I feed that prompt back to GPT again, and I say, hey, please score this out of like 0 to 100. How good is this at doing X outcome? In this case, it was like emulating a human with AI. Oh, it's a 85. Why is it not 100? Oh, this reason. Okay, make those changes. Repeat. So you're iterating upon each output, and you would think like, okay, why doesn't AI just do it all at once? It's pattern recognition, bro. It's not an intelligent being yet. Okay. So I'm going to get the output, give it back, ask it to fix it, make it better, get it back, put it back in, repeat until I finally get a score. And I like the scoring system. And I think that is on here. I like that scoring system of it being 100 out of 100 because then AI is really looking at its own work and self-critiquing and self-improving and self-iterating upon each step that we make there. Okay. So very, very, very cool hack to add as well. Hack number 6. This is called the constraint technique. So constraints are specific boundaries or limitations that you place into a response. So things that you don't want to happen. So like a really easy example of this would be like when I use VO3, it often gives me subtitles when I don't want subtitles. And so I'll do my normal prompt and I'll say in caps, do not do this. And it usually works. So for example, write this in exactly 150 words. Make it professional but conversational. Use bullet points with bold headers. Formatting is a big one. Like don't use whatever that dash, semicolons or colons or whatever that dash is called, the AI puts in text. I literally have that programmed in my GPT. Don't put that into text. Write this for someone. Don't write this for these people. Do this, but not that. So you're telling them what not to do, which is self-explanatory. Like if I was teaching somebody something, I would say, hey, don't do this, but do this. AI is the same way. So if you combine all of these methods that I've given you up to date and this, you're really, really, really squeezing out the most that you can from these things. So the old method would be like, don't make it too corporate. Don't use bullets. The better way to do that would be write your response as clean prose in paragraphs or use a conventional friendly tone. And then I would even add, to be honest, I'd say don't. Like, do not do this part. Or I don't like this. Make sure that's not in there. And it'll give you a much, 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 much better output. Number 7, delimiters. Delimiters are special characters or tags that separate and organize different sections of your prompt or your AI response. So this include XML, guys, is just another like coding language, kind of like JSON. And so when you see these brackets and these tags and these like little greater than, they're just brackets in this sense, or backticks or like triple pound signs, it's creating a boundary and a break in the normal English language. The AI can then do that sort of chain of thought process. So you just call it delimiter, you can call it whatever you want, but you basically can structure your prompts with these things in place. So example, content of the example is in brackets. Example. This is essentially the same thing as JSON, just an easier way to format it. If you don't want to do like enter, shift, tab, dash, colon, bracket, and all that nonsense. So this is sometimes called like a markdown. If you guys are technical at all, even if you're not technical, I'm not really technical. This markdown style of writing, you can literally just take this example, take your prompt, shove it into a format like this, and it's going to output a lot better of a result than the other way. Oh, I mentioned this. So this is a self-scoring technique. So again, I get something, I give it back and say, score this. If it's not 100, I say why. Then I see why. If I like the additions that it said it's missing, I say add those. I get it back. I give it back to the thing again. I say, score this. What is this? Oh, it's a 95. Why is it not 100? And you reiterate until you get 100. And then even after that, what you can do, and I think this is I think it's another one. Yeah, multimodal. I'll tell you that one in a minute. Number 9 is the specificity pyramid. This is a really good approach to construct things in a way that you kind of get like increasingly detailed information so that the AI doesn't skip important details. So for example, bottom of the pyramid would be the general topic. Specific angle would be write about email marketing for e-commerce stores. Detailed would be write about abandoned cart email sequences for fashion e-com stores. Precise outcome would then be write a 3 email abandoned cart sequence for a fashion e-com store targeting women this age who left items in their cart for 24 hours. So you can see this is for you, really, not, you don't want to feed this to AI, but this is for you to think through your prompts. So, oh, I want a prompt that writes emails. Oh, I want a prompt that writes emails for e-commerce brands. I want a prompt that writes emails for e-commerce brands doing this, etc. Okay. Scope. These are kind of modifiers to that. The scope include as many relevant features or interactions as possible. The depth of the output or the response you want. Go beyond the basics and include advanced strategies like X. Completeness. Give me a full feature. So if you're writing, sometimes it'll give you short responses. You want to say, give me a full this, like a full email, a full sequence, a full VSL. Give me the full code for this. Give me the full page for this, whatever. Okay. So again, don't be lazy. Create an analytical dashboard. Instead, say create a fully feature analytical dashboard, including all relevant features, micro interactions, UI transitions, and advanced filtering capabilities. Now, this is just a bunch of nonsense and gibberish, but like you would be specific with what you're trying to build here is the point I want to get across. And hack number 10 this is something I was going to mention previously, but I didn't want to skip, is the multimodal approach. So every model is trained on different data. They have different parameters. They have different things that they're set on. And so Claude, for example, is better at copy. Why? They're both LLMs like that, and GPT. Why is one better? It's just the back end. So what you can actually do is just take the same prompt and give it to 3 different LLMs and see which one you like better. And then sometimes what I even do is I'll take a response from Claude, I'll give it to GPT. I'll get it back. I'll do the scoring thing. I'll do all these things that we're telling you in this video. I'll take it back to Claude and I'll do the same thing. And I'll just kind of hop back and forth between these different LLMs until I get the output that I really want and I feel like it is as complete as it can be. So Claude code, short, like, I don't really use Claude as like a questionnaire, to be honest. I use Claude for writing copy. I use Claude for Claude code. I use GPT for pitch deck stuff, analytics, data, sort of like therapy, any sort of conversation like that. Not actual therapy, you get what I'm saying? Perplexity, I don't even use. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't use. I use deep research on GPT. I'm really between GPT and Claude, and Google's like VO3. That's about all I'm using right now. Each one has their own strength. Each one works differently, and they all do something a little bit different. So here is something for you guys to screenshot, by the way. I just wanted to add this in as a goodie. So this is a great, just generic prompt for everything that you want to do. Screenshot this. So again, this XML bracketing kind of like pound, pound, pound. So role, you are this. You are a copywriting expert. Context, here's what I'm trying to do. Task, here's what I want you to do. Here's 3 examples of what I want you to do that are good. Here are 3 examples of what I want you to do that are good that I like. Constraints. Don't do this. Make sure it's like this, like limiters, right? Delimiters. And then the process, step-by-step thinking if needed, if it's super complex. And then the output, format this. I often say this as well when I'm prompting is I'll say, hey, completely unformat this. I just want the text so I can just paste it into things. I don't want this like brackets and bullets and emojis and all this nonsense. Okay. So guys, I really cannot stress. I use these on a daily basis, literally every single one of these. This isn't some like AI slop. If you start talking to AI in this manner, you're going to get crazy stuff compared to what everybody else is getting. And this is kind of like the separation between those that are going to get crazy output and those who are not. Okay. So I hope this makes some sense and I'll see you on the next video.